All right. And I'm going to turn my phone off because let me do that real quick so I don't get any ring-a-lingies. Phone off. It's sad that I got to talk to my phone to turn off and I just can't use one button to push it off, but whatever. That's another podcast. Okay. Okay, here we go. All righty. Here we go. Hello, everyone. This is Mark Anthony with AI Edge Promotions, the place where we bring you the best of the best doctors in their niche and in their area. Today, we're going to be with Dr. Rob McCarthy. You can find him at greenvillehealth.com. Greenvillehealth.com. Today, we're going to be talking about a subject that is happening to a lot of people right now, and people aren't talking about it. And if they are, they're keeping it within their circle. And I just want to let you guys know that one video can change one person's life. I don't do this for my health. Actually, I kind of do because I may need Dr. Rob in the future. Think about it, guys. This video, if you could share this, sharing is not just caring, but you can help somebody out that's struggling with brain fog, that's struggling with weight loss. Why can't we get that weight off the belly? Why is it that I'm eating less, but I'm gaining more? See, people don't talk about that. Brain fog is really prevalent right now these days. Hey, have you ever just had a point in your life where you're in a conversation and it's flowing, then all of a sudden you're like, man, I can't find that word. Why am I not able to recover? Why am I not able to remember years? And guys, guess what? The brain's very important. As we all know that the brain is connected to the gut. The second gut is the brain. And if that's off, everything else is off. So no late with no late delay, Dr. Rob McCarthy, thank you so much for being here with us on the show. And please tell us about you, about your background, and about how you got into what you do today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, first of all. God bless you. This is awesome to share this information. And that's what we do regularly. I'm big on making videos so that we can expand our outreach. Uh,
Exactly.
I, I'm a licensed chiropractor here in North Carolina. I've been here for about 30 years now. And for about the first 5 years of my life, I did exactly what every other chiropractor did or does. We adjusted people for back pain and neck pain, and that got awfully boring. Really, 5 years in, I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. But we always had a couple of patients here and there who kind of scared me in the beginning. I remember one guy, he was a professor here at East Carolina University, and he came in regularly to get adjusted because he had pain, but he was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And I said, well, first of all, that's a garbage pail diagnosis. It's meaningless. And so that's what started me down this path was let's figure out, first of all, what's behind fibromyalgia? Why does he have this pain? Because I'm adjusting him once a week and I can't fix that.
Got it.
That's when I started to get into functional medicine. And since then, I've been a student of functional neurology. And when you can put these two pieces together with chiropractic care, you can help a whole lot more people than just the guy who hurt his low back shoveling snow last week. I still see some patients that I've been seeing for 25, 30 years for just regular chiropractic care, but that's not what excites me. That's not what really wakes me up at 5 a.m. to go say, hey, let's go change the world.
Right.
It's people that are dealing with chronic problems that are just getting pushed aside by traditional healthcare. There's no
Wow.
cure out there. Even with just take fibromyalgia, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Um, Traditional healthcare, all they offer up is Lyrica. Lyrica. I mean, that's dangerous stuff. I had two calls this week, two calls with people asking me how I could help them get off of Lyrica because it's destroying their brain.
Wow. What for one thing, you mentioned something about regenerative medicine. What is that word? I see that thrown around a lot to reviewers. How can you
Well,
break that down
functional
for like,
medicine is what
yeah,
I like.
functional
Functional medicine.
medicine. Yeah.
Yeah.
How could you break that down let's just say I'm in third grade. How would you tell me that?
Yeah. Well, what we do here is it's the opposite of traditional medicine. And
Okay.
I'm here with East Carolina University, has a huge medical school and a huge hospital here. So we are surrounded, and this is the big city for Eastern North Carolina. So people come from all over
Oh,
Eastern North
wow.
Carolina to come to Greenville to get medical care.
Hmm.
And all they get is medicine. And, medicine has been around for 100 years now, traditional medicine. And we're not curing any diseases. They are not curing any diseases. They're just discovering new pills to cover up symptoms. And when we look at what I continue to learn on a daily basis, functional medicine, what we're doing is we're saying, why does this person have fibromyalgia? Why
Right.
does this person have autoimmune disease? And if you can fix those things, like I said, from a functional medicine perspective and a functional neurology perspective, that's when you can get amazing results. When we started with functional neurology, it's really cool because if you go back to embryology, when the sperm and the egg get together and it turns into 2 cells and 4 cells and 8 cells, the very first system that forms inside your body is your neural tube, the nervous system. So God knew what he was doing. He said, this is in charge. The nervous system's going to be in charge. And then everything else will sprout off of this neural tube. So the nervous system, specifically your brain and central nervous system, is where God put all the juice.
Okay.
And that just gets completely ignored by traditional healthcare. They're just giving you a pill to cover up a symptom. What I'm saying is, God didn't make a mistake, but we have beat ourselves down with the food we eat and the air that we breathe and the toxins that we're breathing in and the lack of exercise and the sitting all day, the mental, emotional stress, mental health, that we drive our bodies into bad places. And then eventually we wind up with symptoms. You're supposed to have symptoms. Again, God knew what he was doing. You have symptoms, and it's a signal that your body is sending to your brain to say there's something wrong here or there's something wrong there. What we do is we find out what's wrong. What traditional healthcare does is they say, here's the pill to cover up that symptom. Your oil light comes on your dashboard. I would say, well, let's figure out what's wrong. Is there a short? Is there a low oil? Is there an oil leak? There's lots of different things it could be. So we have to figure out what it is. Where traditional healthcare, the analogy would be like, well, let's just spray paint over that oil light on your dashboard.
Right.
That's not fixing anything. And not only is it not fixing anything, it's dangerous because you're going to blow your engine. So
Wow.
that's what,
I like the way you say that.
yeah,
That
that's the
makes sense.
functional part of it. We're trying to find
So,
out where's the dysfunction.
so what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're looking for the root cause, not just what's in front of you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
why do you think in our healthcare system, without going too deep, because I know that's not the subject, but why do you think in our healthcare system, it's just, hey, take this, this will mask it for a while, or this will keep it at bay for a while? Why do you think that we have come to that degree instead of saying, let's figure out how to fix this?
Yeah, I think the approach is from if you go back 100 years when traditional AMA style medicine was put together, it was all started with the Rockefellers and such, and they said, "Here, we're going to take over the medical schools. We're going to standardize the curriculum. This is what we're going to teach. This is what we're going to do." And they started to create medicines at that time. If you go back 125 years, we did leeches and bloodletting and weird stuff. We approved like heroin for treating patients, right? But then they said, hey, if we can take these synthetic byproducts and turn them into drugs,
Got
then
it.
we've got a customer, right? So the training that they receive in medical school is what drives them and the medical standards and their standard practices. That's what they're taught. There's 0 hours of nutrition in medical school. So
Wow.
why should we be asking our doctor about vitamins and supplements and food? They don't know anything about it. They weren't taught that. And it's not their fault. I've got a couple of really good close friends of mine here in town who are medical doctors, and they're not bad people. They- They're not trying to harm people. They're just doing what they were taught.
When you sit down with, we'll just say these friends, when you bring up things like, how does it feel to not get to the root of the issue and just to give them something that's just going to get them by? Has that ever crossed the discussion? Because I'm curious. I'm sure I would have been asking that.
Yeah. No, they'll tell you, that's the gold standard. That's what you're supposed to do.
Got it.
If you're the doctor and you're working for the machine, whether it's the big independent physicians association or the hospital or the medical school, you have to do what's standard. You have to stay in your lane. And I
Got it.
had one friend of mine decided he wanted to take time and talk with people about lifestyle medicine, but he wasn't seeing enough patients in a day because he was taking time. And they kept giving him heck about it. You got to speed it up. You got to see
Because
more
there's a
people.
quota.
Yeah,
There's a quote. You got to keep at
exactly.
whatever, 90, 100 patients a day, whatever it may be. And
And
if
I
you're
give him
doing
all the credit
30,
in the
we got a
world.
problem.
Yeah, he left. He left the system.
Wow.
Yeah, I give him all the credit in the world. Spent 10 years of his life in medical school and said, forget it. I'm not doing this. Now he teaches lifestyle medicine.
That's awesome. So let's get to the root of this. We're talking about brain fog and weight loss. Are those two pretty much tied together, or are those two separate issues?
But pretty much, it's very common to see the two of them together. You can have
Okay.
one without the other, but if you have one of them for long enough, you're going to wind up with the other one.
Wow. Okay.
There's very little doubt in my mind. And like you mentioned, brain fog, people don't really talk about that. They
Mm-mm.
just say, well, I'm 40 years old. That's
I'm getting
normal.
older. It's
Yeah,
age.
I'm getting, and if you tell your medical doctor that, they'll
They'll
tell you the
agree.
same thing. It's just your age.
Yep.
So then you
100%.
tell me my patient who's 84 years old and sharp as a tack, they're abnormal? It doesn't make sense. But again, I don't have time as a medical professional to sit down and discuss these things with you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to say that's normal. Well, there's a big difference between normal and common. And here, especially in Eastern North Carolina, these things are very common. It doesn't make it normal.
Wow. So brain fog, how does it start? How does it, what's the beginning? Yeah, and before you answer that question, um, I guess it's a two-part question before we go to that. But the first question would be, wouldn't you say you started to see a lot more brain fog during COVID?
No doubt. No doubt. And post as well.
Yes.
We've got probably a dozen current active patients right now
Hmm.
who come in here saying they were diagnosed with long COVID. And they're seeking help here because traditional healthcare is saying, well, that's common. Lots of people have it. There's nothing we can do about it.
Walk me through that process. I come in there to your office right now and I say, Doctor, the doctor says I got long COVID. I'm just not remembering stuff. I just feel like I need to get a vacuum and clean out my brain. I don't know. I
Mhm.
just feel like there's so much going on up there.
Yeah, well, first thing that we do is we actually spend 20, 30 minutes doing a comprehensive history where we sit
Wow.
down and ask questions, as opposed to 5 minutes in the traditional healthcare approach. I don't have time to ask you questions. In my office, I'm the boss. I own the place. I can take as much time as I want.
Hmm.
So we'll start with the history, and that'll give us a good idea. We'll see a lot of these things with chronic problems like that start with some kind of mental, emotional, or physical trauma or stress.
Okay.
And unless you're asking these questions, the patients don't even recall that. Wow, yeah, I had that car accident, and ever since then, wow, I didn't even realize that. Or I had, I had COVID. I got COVID. Or I had a COVID vaccine. Or they don't put it together necessarily. So in that first 20, 30 minutes, that'll help me to decide, hey, which paths do we need to go down to figure out what's wrong with this person?
Okay. Wow.
Then we'll do an in-depth functional neurological exam to find out which areas of the nervous system aren't functioning up to par. Because there are things that we do here in our office on a daily basis that can make underperforming parts of your nervous system function better.
Okay.
That's what's really cool. You can go to the gym and exercise and your muscles will get bigger. But if you do neurological exercises, your nervous system becomes more efficient and better at functioning.
Okay.
And
Wow.
then the next piece of the puzzle is we use three really in-depth questionnaires that we send home with people. And we ask about their brain and neurotransmitters. We ask about it's a metabolic assessment form. And we see what's going on with the stomach, what's going on with your kidneys, what's going on with your large intestine, your small intestine. We go through all the body systems. And then the last questionnaire is what's called a brain region localization form. And we ask questions about your frontal lobe, your parietal lobe, your cerebellum. And we go through all the areas of
Oh,
the nervous
wow.
system. So when they bring these questionnaires back on the next visit, I can say, well, here's what we saw on your functional neurological examination, and here's what these questionnaires tell me. And then I draw a picture up on a whiteboard and say, here's the 6, 8, 12 different things that we see wrong with you. Here's what we need to do. And then we start with a comprehensive blood work panel.
Okay.
And by comprehensive, I mean you go to your medical doctor and they'll run a CBC, a chem panel, and if they think maybe there's a thyroid issue, they'll check your TSH, which isn't even a thyroid hormone. And they'll say everything looks normal because their ranges are this big. And that's normal according to the standards of Eastern North Carolina. I say you need to be in here, optimal.
Wow.
So I look at it a little bit more strictly. And then I can say, here's what we need to do. Here's the plan. And so you get 10 people in a row who come in with long COVID or fibromyalgia or autoimmune disease. There's no one size fits all treatment plan. Everybody's different. So even though they hung that label around your neck, you've got these 6 things wrong. The next person has those 8 things wrong, and it's a different plan for everybody.
Wow. It seems like there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, it almost seems like being in the big box doctor is a little bit easier. You just get, I'm not trying to be mean, but it just seems like, and I'm not saying they're not using their brain, but it seems like you really have to go into the depth of figuring this out, how we can get them at optimal optimization of good health body. What are some of the testimonials, would you say, that you've seen with people in your clinic that have had brain fog, and then you've seen them go from, bad to, wow, they're just, doctor, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, I think you saw that one yesterday.
Yeah,
It's just great because I'll check in with people every time they come in.
I love it.
How you doing since last visit? I'm sleeping so much better. It's unbelievable. And I'm not taking my melatonin anymore. Or worse yet, we see folks who start sleeping again, they can get off of Ambien. I mean, Ambien's a bad thing to be taken. Yet that's all they have. You go to the medical professional, I can't sleep. Here's your Ambien. So this young lady came in yesterday and no, I posted yesterday. It was probably the day before. 1 month in. So she's been here about 8 times, 8 visits. A lot of the stuff that we do is from a metabolic perspective is dietary changes, an
Right.
anti-inflammatory diet. So she's on this anti-inflammatory diet. It's real food. She goes to the same grocery store. It's more about not eating the bad food. She's down 10 pounds in 1 month. I mean, I didn't put her on a starvation diet. She's eating 6 times a day.
Whoa,
Six
that's
times a day.
unbelievable.
Yeah, the right
And she
food
she
stuff.
feels better. She's more clearer.
Yeah, brain fog is gone.
How long did that take, would you say? I know everyone's different for her
Yeah,
though.
but inside of a month, most people can say, this is working. There's no doubt this is working. Um, some people are feeling 100%. The overwhelming majority of folks are going to be able to are going to be able to see that they're on the right path, but it's just going to take longer. And typically speaking, the longer someone's been dealing with problems, the more chronic it's been, the longer it's going to take. But inside of a month, and I tell most of my patients this, inside of a month, you'll be able to tell that we're moving in the right direction.
Wow. That's so how does that affect, like you were saying, that a lot of the brain fog kind of goes with the weight loss? How and why are those connected?
Well, one of the things that brain fog, I always associate that with inflammation inside your brain.
Okay.
All right. You brought up the vagus nerve earlier. The vagus nerve is hugely important, and I've been preaching this for 25 years now. And I had, friends and colleagues around town going, the vagus nerve, get out of here. Now here we are, 2026, and everyone understands the vagus nerve is critically important. We do what's called vagus nerve stimulation here in our office.
Wow.
And so that helps us to improve brain function and gut function. So we'll do it here for a couple of weeks. And then after we get the patients to set themselves up on it, it's a really simple procedure. And then we just give them the unit and say, take it home. It's yours. You own it. Do it for 30 minutes every day. And you can do this while you're reading a book, while you're at work, while you're on the computer, while you're watching TV, doing the dishes, doing the laundry. And if you start stimulating the vagus nerve for 30 minutes a day, every day, that's when you can fix brain function. Now, the vagus nerve connects the gut and the brain. But one of the things that we see is whenever you get, I don't know if you're familiar with leaky gut syndrome.
Oh yeah.
So if your intestines are hyperpermeable, that just creates massive amounts of inflammation. And when you develop leaky gut syndrome, it's a matter of hours before you develop leaky blood-brain barrier.
Wow.
So now you've got these inflammatory chemicals floating around in your circulatory system, and they get into your brain. You create inflammation in the brain. That's brain fog.
Wow. What's one of the symptoms that you would say that besides memory that you would say that you have leaky gut? What are some of the things that you can kind of maybe tell?
Well, what's really unique about this is most people say, "Well, I don't have any, stomach pains, so I don't have leaky gut." I said, "It doesn't matter if you have stomach pains, because I'd say probably 60 to 70% of the symptoms of leaky gut are outside of your digestive tract, like in your brain, in your nervous system. Like all of my joints ache. I ache all over the place. Autoimmune disease." But you don't know that it's coming from food and leaky gut because you don't have any abdominal symptoms. So that's a common fallacy. They're like, I eat all this food and it doesn't bother my tummy at all.
Wow. Unbelievable. Now correct me if I'm wrong. I heard this before from a doctor. He said that if your poop floats, you have a problem with the gut, but if it sinks, that means you don't. I don't know. Is that
It, it could be. It could be. It's
that's
different
a
for
different one,
everybody. Yeah,
huh?
it's different for everybody. Um, if you are, if you notice a change, if it's always been that way, it's typically not as big a deal. But if something changed, like 6 months ago, all of a sudden I can't go every day.
Wow.
That's a big problem. And it's one of the most common problems that we see here in patients dealing with chronic health problems. It's constipation. And
Really? Okay.
that's bad, bad stuff. And we'll see people that say, yeah, oh, no, I'm regular. I go every 4 days, once every 4 days. That's not regular.
That's not regular.
That might be common for you. That might be your pattern, but it's very irregular. That's bad. So that's one of the things that we do. Vagus nerve stim will help enormously with folks who are dealing with
Wow.
constipation.
Interesting. How about with weight loss? Like, so how is that you're saying that there's a lot of people that are having a problem with getting the weight off? I'm hearing that a lot more, and I know that in a lot of chiropractic office, it's like very, very popular of people coming in for weight loss.
Yeah.
Can't you just eat half of your meal and then, hey, start losing weight?
And that's what, it used to be that way. There was calories in and calories
Yep.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Baloney. It never was that. Now, granted, if you eat a whole pepperoni pizza every night and drink a 12 pack of beer, that's bad calories. Okay.
Right.
So that can contribute to it. But we see lots of folks who've tried this diet or that diet, keto, and I've done carnivore and I've done AIP, and they're trying everything. And that's the person who needs to get food sensitivity testing done. So, we've done this on patients before, and it comes back that they're having an inflammatory reaction to foods like chicken and spinach and carrots and
Gluten.
onions. Gluten is very common. Gluten is the most common food sensitivity. Casein, the protein in milk, very common food sensitivity. So, those don't surprise me when I see that. But when you start to see people who are reacting to chicken and spinach and broccoli, that person's got leaky gut syndrome. There's something very wrong there. So what we'll do is take those foods away for a short period of time, a couple of months, and we'll use a compound to help heal up the leaky gut, which also helps, the same compound helps to heal up the leaky blood-brain barrier. And if you can get people to eat the right foods 5 to 6 times a day, you're stabilizing their blood sugar as well. And your brain needs a constant, steady supply of blood sugar. But when you're on the blood sugar roller coaster, your brain gets angry and your brain will scream down to your adrenal glands, and your adrenals will kick out cortisol, and cortisol will help to jack your blood sugar back up so your
Right.
brain stays alive. But cortisol will also make you gain weight, specifically around your abdomen.
Hmm.
So if you've got this blood sugar roller coaster going on, you can do any diet you want. The cortisol is still going to make you hold on to that abdominal weight. You cannot lose weight with cortisol surges into your
It doesn't matter how much
circulatory
you
system.
walk, you're not going to lose it.
Cannot. Got to fix the blood sugar first. And that's what we do with all of our patients. We put them on a proper diet and we show them, the questionnaires will tell us, are they more hypoglycemic or are they more insulin resistant? But the most common pattern we see is that these people with chronic health problems are going through both. So every couple of hours, they get hypoglycemic, brain screams to the adrenals, cortisol comes out, boom, you eat, your blood sugar goes back up. The famous commercial for Snickers, right? When the person gets angry and they eat the Snickers and they turn back into their normal self, right? They get hypoglycemic. That's when you get hangry,
Yep.
irritable if meals are missed. You eat the Snickers bar, which is 100% sugar, and then you get insulin resistant.
You're happy for a second,
Yeah,
and then you're wondering why you feel like not good.
it's a death trap. But that's the way we eat in this country.
So, would you say the sugar is pretty much a huge effective to what's going on with the body? Because when they're going out to doing fast food, and you basically look at their diet, tell me what do you normally eat during the week, I'm sure, and then when they tell you, you're like, wow, there's a lot of sugar here. I'm sure a lot of this has to do with the fake sugar that's in the food, like McDonald's.
Yeah. Even folks who some of the hardest folks that we have to deal with are vegetarians or vegans.
Really?
They'll eat a ton of grains, whole grains, because they're healthy for you. Do you know what whole grains turn into when you eat them? Sugar.
Really?
It's a carbohydrate, especially the refined carbohydrates,
Hmm.
the breads and the pastas and the cereals. It's sugar. You might as well have had a Snickers because it tastes better than a bowl of cornflakes.
Wow. It's interesting. This is what I've heard from people that when they go to like Europe, parts of Europe, that the food is just so good. It's different because it's regulated.
Yeah.
They don't have the GMO. They don't have they have like real flour,
Mhm.
so I don't understand why we haven't adapted that. Because when you look at pictures of people that live there, what's very interesting is the pictures are very different from here and over there. A lot of people are thin, and they were saying it has a lot to do with the foods over there.
No doubt. We have patients who are certified gluten sensitive. They've got a gluten intolerance. And so we just tell them to avoid the food here. They'll go to Europe and they can have bread. And so, it makes you question. You said genetically modified. When
Yeah.
we genetically modify stuff here in this country, it's raising the gluten levels like 50 times. And so maybe it's not the inherent grain itself, maybe it's what we did to it.
I would agree. What's interesting, and I'm sure you know about this, is that when you go to the grocery store, and I did an actual study. I looked at every single loaf of bread in the grocery store, one grocery store. And the thing that I found out, there was every single bread, it said chemicals, except one. There was two of them, forgive me. One is Ezekiel bread, and the other one was, I can't remember his name. I just know there's a guy on the front. He looks all buff. And it was pure bread, no chemicals, but every single bread, Home Pride, everything, Wonder, it says chemicals right on the back of it.
Yeah, especially when you process it and turn it into white bread, that's even worse. Because remember when we were kids and you had Wonder Bread, it
Dude,
said
that was unreal.
fortified, fortified. All the cereals that we ate when we were kids, fortified,
Yep.
which basically means is, there was nutrients in that grain while it
Yes.
was in the field, but we have, you know, processed it to the
You
point
stripped it.
there's nothing left. So then we have to add synthetic vitamins into it, and that's why they can say fortified. So yeah, they put those vitamins in there, but they're synthetic. You can't utilize them. They serve no purpose in the human body. So we're stripping it of all the natural God-given nutrients and vitamins and minerals, and then adding chemicals in. Make it make sense.
So when somebody comes into your office and they're really wanting to lose weight, do you see that it's really hard for them to do it at first? And how do you get them to a different mindset and a different type of food, especially if you've been eating Snickers your entire life or
Right.
Wonder Bread? You've got a system. And when you go away from or diverge from that system, the body gets angry and it's on repeat. How do you substitute these things in their life
It's definitely a challenge,
so it's
but
not as hard?
it really isn't. You just need to have a plan, which we give them. It's
Okay.
written out. Here's the foods to eat. Here's the foods to avoid. And we give them a generic anti-inflammatory diet. Avoid these foods, just eat these foods. So that makes it easier. But then when we get the results of their food sensitivity test back, then we can take that generic diet and customize it to that specific person. Because there is no one size fits all diet for everyone.
Mm.
Like I said, if you're reacting to chicken and spinach, that's on my okay to eat list. But if you're reacting to it, I say, Mark, you can't eat that. So we're going to
Right.
take those foods away. We're customizing this diet to you.
Mhm.
And then after like a week or two, and somebody says, hey, I'm not hungry because they're eating 5 or 6 times a day, and I've lost 4 or 5 pounds. This is cool. That's motivating for a lot of folks.
That's
So
interesting you say that you're saying, like, you've said this a few times, eating 4 to 6 times a day.
yeah,
What about just 3 meals a day?
we recommend 3 meals, and then 3 snacks in
Oh,
between your meals. Yeah. So the 3 snacks are aimed at preventing hypoglycemia. So that's stabilizing the blood sugar. So all the food that you're eating is low glycemic. So you're not going to get insulin resistance. And if you're eating every 2 or 3 hours, you're not going to get hypoglycemic. So we're fixing their blood sugar by eating low glycemic foods spread out throughout the whole day.
okay. So my question to you is, I'm just curious. This is more for me, I guess. But like, what does your diet look like during the week? I'm curious. Like what do you eat? Like,
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit different because I don't get either hypoglycemic or insulin resistant. All right. I don't know why. I wasn't this way when I was young, but I just do not like ice cream, cake, soda, it just doesn't interest me. Candy bars, I just don't have a flavor for that stuff. And
Okay.
when I tell patients that, they're just like, well, that's unbelievable. How can you? And I'm like, well, that's the way I do it. I intermittent fast. I don't eat until noon most days. On the weekends, sometimes I'll cook up some eggs in the morning. But during the week, it's no food until noon, and then I'll eat from noon to 8.
Wow. Okay. So you do that because it resets your body. So
Yeah,
it okay, which is healthy for you.
yeah. I'm the same exact weight I was when I graduated high school.
Well, it's just a few years ago, but hey,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So do you like have popcorn? I mean, like what's like, are
Uh,
you a snack guy?
Not really. Not really. If it's a snack, it's going to be a protein. I'm lucky the arrangement I have here in my office, I've got a kitchen. So I can just run to the fridge and I've got some proteins in there. I'll grab a mouthful or two of protein in between patients and I'm good to go.
Wow.
I have an
Okay.
assistant that's wonderful. She's been with me for a long time, and she's a fantastic cook. So like twice a week, she brings food in. She brings me. Yesterday, she brought me uh, chicken soup, big container of chicken soup,
Mhm.
and a stuffed pepper. I mean, a
Oh, those are the
stuffed pepper.
bomb.
Oh my goodness! So that's in the fridge. I get
Yeah.
hungry, I run in there, and I eat some. Move on.
Okay,
Next
wow.
patient. Let's go.
So if somebody were to come in your office right now, would you say that you're seeing a lot more people with brain fog, or what would you say like what's the percentage? Is it just more chiropractic and then later they talk about brain fog? Because I know for a fact that when somebody comes in your office for a chiropractic, you of course help them with that, but then you also ask more questions, see what's really going on.
Yeah, because we had a patient referred in a friend of hers last week, and she said, "Well, I'm having memory issues, and but I'm not really sure why I'm here. She told me to come and see you,
Right.
but you're a chiropractor. What are you going to do with my memory?" And so we took, a half an hour time and went through the whole process with her and explained to her, these are the things that we need to check out. And I can't promise you I can help you, but I can promise you you've never met a doctor before who's going to try harder than I am to
Yep.
help you stop. And this is, a woman that's 50 years old. She shouldn't be
Young.
dealing with memory issues. So afterwards, I think like, maybe a little light bulb went on and said, well, I've been going to my doctors for a couple of years now and they're not helping me. Maybe I'll give this guy a shot.
Well, they have nothing to lose but everything to gain. That's the funny
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Do you guys take insurance? And if not, how does that work?
We do. It's probably maybe 25, 30% of our practice is insurance based, but a lot of the things that we do aren't covered by insurance. So it's not that I don't take insurance. It's that insurance doesn't cover the stuff that we do, which is the stuff that your body needs, which is the stuff that's going to help you get your life back again.
It's interesting that you say that. And this is just, I'm going to be 50 years old, so I've noticed that the stuff that normally works isn't insured from what I've known.
It's
I
crazy.
just get a patch, I got a symptom or something. Hey, take this pill, you'll feel so much better. And I'm like, and then I talk to other doctors like you that go deep into wanting to heal. And yes, it cost money. I remember I went to a doctor a couple of years ago named Dr. Ilya, and he does a lot of stuff that you do. And um, I'll be honest, when I got my bill, I think my bill was like 1,500. Did a lot. I was there for hours actually. And let me tell you something, it worked. My body was better. It was optimal. I knew what to do, what foods to stay away from. But see, people don't realize that, yeah, you might pay money up front, but you are worth it. And I think the audience needs to understand that if you have to think about, well, it's too much money, you're saying that you're not worth it. And you are. If you want to have the longevity with your kids, your grandkids, and, I mean, I play pickleball. I used to be an ex tennis pro. I play pickleball 6 days a week religiously, literally, and I'm not slowing down. Matter of fact, my son's 19. He's a freaking awesome freak of an athlete. And I'm his training partner. This kid keeps me young. And I'm like, dude, I got to stay at it. He's like, if I don't want to work out one day, come on, old man. And
Yeah.
I'm like, in the back of my head, because I'm competitive, I ain't old. I'm youngering. And that's what we got to be careful, I think, because we get into this thing where, well, I'm getting old. Who told you you are old? Oh, the media did. I loved it. Remember, there's an old saying. You remember this in the Old Testament? I love the Bible. When Adam and Eve, they were naked and they went and made clothes for themselves and they're all trying to cover themselves. And God said, "Who told you you were naked?" And that stuck in my head. So I think we got to be careful with the words that we say because our brain is a computer, and whatever you tell it to be, it's going to become. Wouldn't you agree, or what are your thoughts on that?
100%. The concept that we use is called neuroplasticity,
Okay.
and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Plasticity means changing your neurons. And we were taught 30 years ago, um, if a neuron dies, that's it. It's dead. It's not coming back. There's nothing you
Yep.
can do about it.
100%.
Well, neuroplasticity kind of has changed that concept. And it says, yeah, if a neuron dies, maybe you can't get that neuron back, but what you can do is repetitively exercise that nerve pathway, and this one can grow and touch this one. You're creating new nerve pathways. So
Wow.
you're right. When you're told something negative over and over and over, you're creating negative neuroplasticity. And that's got permanent manifestations in your brain, in your thoughts, and in the way your body works. What we do in our office is we're trying to find the best ways possible to create positive neuroplasticity, creating new connections so the normal pathways become more and more efficient. That's what's cool.
So what I hear you saying, please correct me if I'm wrong, because a lot of times I'm wrong, but when I'm right, I stick with that balloon. Um, the brain, we'll just say this is the brain, and these fingers are the paveways, they're the lines. So so what you're saying is, let's say this right here is a line of I'm getting old, I'm getting old, I can't remember, I can't remember, I can't remember, I can't remember. So this becomes a strong highway
Yes,
connected to my
sir.
brain. But what you're saying is that you can get these, unconnect them, and repath them to the right path. Is
Get
that
the
correct?
good connections
With a
stronger and
better
more
connection.
efficient.
Right. So you're saying that in our brain, it's literally like a highway that can be realigned to the correct highway. I'm just using that as an example.
Exactly. No, that's 100% correct. Yeah.
Wow. So what I'm hearing you say is that you help get these paths to the right path again, where they're broken right now.
Yeah, that's what we look for to start with. Which pathways are not efficient?
Okay.
And so if you can align what the person's telling you symptomatically with, oh yeah, well, there's a problem with, frontal lobe activity.
Right.
Um, well, in the traditional healthcare approach, that person has got decreased function in their frontal lobes. They're going to be dealing with anxiety or depression. What are they going to get from their medical practitioner? Antidepressants,
Yeah.
SSRIs, that, and 80% of the folks that come into my office are taking some kind of SSRI because that's the traditional approach. Oh, you're dealing with this? Here's your pill. And what's interesting about SSRIs is that these were only approved for short term usage by the
Hmm.
FDA. Short term usage.
Wow.
Have you ever met anyone who said, well, I'm just going to take this SSRI for 6 weeks and then I'm going to get off of it and my problem's solved?
Never.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So the way it was approved is not the way it's used. And
Wow.
so you'll take it for 6 months, 9 months, a year, and then eventually it's not going to work anymore. So they'll switch you or up your dose or change your prescriptions. That's not the answer. But if we can neurologically improve the function in your frontal lobe, which is what we do here in the office every day, we see people go back to their doctor and say, hey, I want to try and get off of this. And they're able to get off of it and feel better than when they were taking it. That's what wakes me up in the morning.
That's That's what I'm talking about. It's interesting is I feel like we've created a system that has put us in prison. It's imprisoned us. It wasn't created with it was created with a lock, not with an open door. It's kind
Yeah.
of like our system for, people that are on welfare, not here bagging on welfare, but tried to help friends of mine get off of it,
Hmm.
and they don't want to.
Hmm.
It's almost kind of like the old saying with I don't know if you remember the old saying about, there was an elephant where it had a chain on it, and they kept the chain on there so it wouldn't get out of the area. Then one day, what they did was they took the chain off of it without the elephant knowing. And a year went by, and the elephant never left the area because he still thought he was chained. And a lot of us are doing that with the healthcare system. And a lot of you people feel like that with your weight. And a lot of you people feel like that with your brain fog. You've been told a lie saying that you cannot get better. You just need to take this. What I want to recommend to my viewers out there, Dr. Rob McCarthy can help you. Didn't say he can heal you. He can help you get unstuck. You have a choice, everyone out there. And before we end this, if you could give something to the viewers, those that are struggling with weight loss, those that are struggling with non-mental clarity, what would that be? And yeah, we'll take it from there.
Yeah, you've got to take the approach that we do here. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I just happen to hang out with the smartest guys in the world. All right. I didn't invent any of this stuff. I just hang out with the smartest guys in the world. And there's hundreds of us who get together regularly. And we're always bouncing ideas off of each other. We're in a Facebook group together, a private Facebook group, where we're always bouncing things. Hey, I saw this strange thing on the blood work. I saw this strange thing in a neurological exam. And somebody will chime in and say, Hey, I saw that last year. This is what I did. And it worked fantastically. So you don't need to figure these things out on your own. People say, well, I go to the doctor, but I've got to advocate for myself. No, you got to find a new doctor. Find a doctor who knows how to take care of you. And you're right. I'm not going to heal anybody. I don't cure anyone. The only thing man ever cured was a ham. All right. What I do is I make your body function better. Your body is a self-healing, self-governing, when it's working the right way, organism. And God didn't make a mistake. You and our society just destroyed your body. I'm going to show you how to improve your body. And when you do, function comes back, joy comes back, you get your life back again.
I love it. And I just want to say thank you for what you do. I think that doctors like yourself do not get enough credit. And I'm glad that I reached out to you because it's people like you that keep the world with hope. And I don't believe there's hope in a pill. There's hope in saying, hey, you know what, like what you said, God created your body to work and to function and to regenerate. And when someone tells you that it can't, sorry, man, you didn't create the body. God did.
I'm with you.
But thank you so much. I appreciate what you do, and blessings upon your practice, and I hope that you get so filled with people that need what you have because people need you, and I'm happy that you have this passion to get up every morning and do what you do, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you for the chance to
Appreciate you.
speak.
Of course, man. Hey, keep cracking and adjusting and helping people with brain fog. And what are some other things before we leave? Before we leave too soon, what are some other things that you do that you did not mention that you help people with?
Well, again, one of the common symptoms that we see with folks dealing with chronic health problems is chronic pain. And it's just awful because, again, how is chronic pain treated from a medical perspective? With massive amounts of painkillers and
Wow.
dangerous stuff. I go back to the oil light on the dashboard. You can't just spray paint over that, and that's all the painkillers do. And I understand we've got a wonderful pain management office here in town. That's all they do. They rotate you from shots to pills to let's go in and cut your nerves, let's burn your nerves. That's not fixing a problem. So if folks can find a place like my office and say, okay, let's fix the blood sugar. Let's get rid of these foods that are creating inflammation. Let's drop 20 pounds. You don't need opiates. You don't need pain pills every day. You just fixed your problem. And that's our goal. So chronic pain is a big one. Autoimmune disease, fibromyalgia. One of the big things we see is thyroid dysfunction. Probably one of the most poorly treated conditions in this country is thyroid problems.
Wow.
Most of it's autoimmune.
Man, I could tell you can go on and on and on. Sciatica, neuropathy.
Neuropathy is a huge one. Yeah.
Man,
Change your
thank you.
diet.
Thank you so much. We're gonna have to have you on again, I can tell.
Anytime,
Thank
brother.
you, and let me get this.